The shocking revelation. Thomas the Blue E2 was in a very strange predicament. Many years ago he had made a new friend in the form of an S100 tank engine named Rosie, but he hadn't talked to her in ages, and wondered if she still had any interest in him. After a long day of passenger runs, he crawled into Knapford's sheds feeling very tired but confused. He decided to talk to Rebecca and Edward about it. Hello, Thomas. How are things on the Farquhar branch? Oh, sorry, Rebecca. I was lost in thought for a moment. Yeah, things aren't too bad. But there's something, or rather someone, that I can't get off my mind, and it's doing my non-existent head in. Oh really? Do tell! Have you heard of that S100 named Rosie? I think so. The name sounds familiar. She's the red one with the number 37, isn't she? That was only on the telly. Her actual colour is pink. Anyway, I don't understand why she hasn't spoken to me in ages, and I'm worried that she might not want anything to do with me anymore. Well, perhaps she's just not interested. How can I know for certain when she's always given me the silent treatment, no matter how many times I try to get her attention? Well then, Thomas, perhaps it's best to try and move on to something else instead of dwelling on this thing that's clearly causing you stress. Oh, give over. I'm going to keep fighting tooth and nail until Rosie finally gets back to me. And if that doesn't work, I'll probably deliberately run off the damaged pier over at the harbour, drowning myself in the process. Don't be ridiculous, Thomas. There are better outcomes than pretty much game-ending yourself. Oh, and get this. The last time Rosie spoke to me was back in November. You know, 4 months ago. And as if that wasn't bad enough, this was only minutes before I saw an amazing sight in the form of a Great Western 1366 class. They look so weird with their outside cylinders, and I had been looking forward to seeing one for ages. How can the universe give me something that cool at the same time Rosie did a complete 180 on me? It doesn't make any sense. Wait, did you say 4 months? How are you still dwelling on it after all that time? Well, Rebecca, it appears that that question is one of many that doesn't have an answer. I'll give you an answer when I feel like it. Now I just want to get some rest. And before the bullied Pacific or K2 could try to give any more advice, Thomas had reversed further into the shed and fallen asleep. The next day, Thomas pulled into Farquhar Station with his usual commuter run from Elsbridge. He looked over to see Rosie sitting in the yard. Hello, Rosie. I just wanted to catch up, that's all. Especially since you never explained why you suddenly called in sick last time. You know, 4 months ago. Sorry, Thomas. I'm actually moving back to the USA tomorrow. I was bought by a preservation group in Portland, Oregon, and I've been really busy helping to plan it all and say goodbye to all my friends. Thomas felt speechless, betrayed, and livid. He was so startled by Rosie's sudden revelation that he spent several minutes trying to collect himself, but he eventually regained his composure. Are you fucking serious? All I wanted to do was catch up in a small siding by the sea, specifically around Elsbridge Harbour. You know, nothing too complicated. But instead, you gave me the silent treatment for far too fucking long and act like I don't exist. Some friend you are! I can ask my driver to photograph some of the American engines, like that famous Southern Pacific GS4, and we can send them back in the mail. Oh yeah, because that'll definitely make up for your silence over the last few months. Underline months. Do you seriously think that you can just brush aside what I've literally just said, then treat me like I don't matter, and then try to make up for it with a half-assed offer to send over pictures of perhaps the most overrated steam locomotive on the planet, besides Gordon's brother? But Thomas... No buts, you reprehensible traitor! I thought there was still a chance we could be friends again, but only now have I realised that that chance conveniently sank faster than the MV Derbyshire, and that's saying a hell of a lot, because that thing went down in only 2 minutes. I can't believe you've had the nerve to say that you were busy saying farewell to all your friends. How could you forget about me? Me of all locomotives! The one you helped after he got stuck in a fucking landslide all those years ago! Rosie tried to explain his situation further, but the livid E2 had lost any patience he may have had left. Instead, he charged off to Anofa Quarry to escape the traitorous S-100 and vent his outrage to whoever was working there. When he arrived, he found a Toby resting in a siding while his crew were having lunch. Hello, Thomas. I see you're looking a bit put out. Care to explain what's wrong? It's that damn Rosie. After all these months of her not saying anything to me, thus leaving me stressed out and worried like Edward was when he thought Rebecca was going to replace him, she had the nerve, the very nerve, mind you, to say that she's moving back to the United States tomorrow, thus leaving us with no time to properly catch up. I swear, I've had some awful experiences in the past, but this is just insane. Rosie's either taking the piss, or she's being deliberately malicious. Are you talking about Caillou's sister, or the S-100? What do you think, you dozy old prawn? Alright, there's no need to be rude to me. I barely know the soon-to-be former NWR's number 37 as it is. Don't rub it in. Sorry. I'm absolutely floored by her revelation. It's almost like she was deliberately avoiding me all these months, as part of some conveniently secret plan to psychologically destroy me. I'm sure it wasn't like that, Thomas. She'll just have different priorities to you. Oh, of fucking course. Never mind the fact that I've been really stressed out all this time. No, she must only think of herself and her own interests, of which I thought I was one. You're starting to sound like a hypocrite there, old boy. So what if I am? I'm not a fan of hypocrisy, that's all. And what am I supposed to do about this? Aside from game-ending myself by taking a long run off a short pier. Well, it pains me to say this, but any effort to get with Rosie again is most likely too far gone at this point. I wish I could help out a little more, but I've got to get back to work. Oh, alright then. I guess I'll try speaking to Edward again later today. Maybe he can help too. Good luck with your afternoon shift, Toby. Even after venting to the J70, Thomas was still in a foul mood as he trundled back to Farquhar. When he got there, he was relieved to find that the traitorous S-100 had cleared off to meet the ship at Knapford Harbour. It wasn't long before he was ready to resume his normal passenger services, secretly hoping that the ship would sink midway through the Atlantic. Later that day, he was tasked with hauling a short goods train over to Wellsworth. This was just what the E2 wanted, as the veteran K2 was waiting for him when he arrived. You still don't look very happy, Thomas. Penny for your thoughts? I'm still put out by that whole Rosie situation. It doesn't help that I've just found out that there's no time left to catch up properly before she leaves for the USA. What? You can't be serious. She was such a good and reliable dock shunter at Brendam. How could she just abandon us like that? Yes, I heard about her dock shunting skills. After all, the E2s and S100s had a lot of experience with that sort of thing in Southampton. Then Salty and his fellow Class 07s just had to come along and ruin everything. Well, Thomas, I think that Rosie wasn't the right sort of friend for you, despite the belief you've held on to all this time. I'm sure that, as a wise lady once said, she wasn't doing this to upset you. She was probably too busy, distracted, or maybe even guilty to organise something before she left. It was likely easier for her to not do anything, although that's not fair on you at all. Well, that figures. Look, man, I'm just trying to help you, so there's no reason to get angry at me. Yes, Edward, I realise what you're trying to do, and I'm not trying to discredit your efforts. But what she told me still hurts more than those damn fish that got on my water tanks that one time. And that's saying a hell of a lot, because that was pretty fucking painful. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive that S-100 for the way she treated me. And I can't say I blame you. But just remember this. If you let these people, or rather, fellow locomotives, just come and go, you'll be left with the ones who truly care about you. I think you're onto something, Edward. Now that I think about it, I've still got you, Percy, Mavis, Henry, Jock, Skarloey, the Fat Controller, and even that weird monorail thing in Listowel, among so many other locomotives and people. Well, Thomas, I'm proud of you for still being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. One thing's for sure, I don't want any potential friends in the future to end up being traitorous hacks like the S-100. Exactly. Now let's get this train sorted before I take it down to Brandon. And so, the two blue locomotives got to work rearranging the wagons. Thomas felt like he had made a good decision to see Edward about the situation, as the old 440 had once again proven why he was so revered amongst fans of the North Western Railway. Rebecca also admired Edward's comforting personality, and hoped she could be more like him at some point in the future.